Hello, this is Dread from Apprentice's Corner, and today's video topic is going to be a video about my Shift Cascade build. A little PSA, I am also making a written guide for this, so if you want the full detailed explanation about how the build works, it will be in the description there. Everything that you could possibly ever want to know about the build is there. And if you have any questions, my YouTube comment section is always open, and so is the forum guide as well. So this is just going to be a quick summary of the build and showcase of gameplay, and then of course talking about certain points of the build and what's required. So required gear for this build, mainly you just need a Smoke Weaver to get started, as Smoke Weaver allows you to reduce the cooldown on your shift, which will allow you to use certain mechanics like the Acid Flask's Haste, which is procced off of shift, and you also get the 50% increased movement speed from shift as well, allowing you to literally speed through Monoliths. And then of course you get the shift node that gives you Cascade after you shift, which is very strong and allows you to clear Monoliths while you're running through the Monoliths instead of having to stop and attack, making this the perfect kind of build to watch Netflix and play, and just kind of like, obviously just focus on the movie or whatever you're watching, or YouTube video. It doesn't matter what you're doing on the side. It allows you to not have to focus on the game while grinding, as a lot of people would like that, as some people get off a day of work and are like, I just want to play, but I also don't want to have to concentrate, and this is the build for you. All you have to do is hold right click and, obviously use Smoke Mine every so often, and you'll be good to go. Another thing, this build, it doesn't require them, but it helps a lot. Our gear is based around utilizing arboreal circuits, which are the movement speed rings. These are very easily gambleable, and if you've been playing for a long time, you'll obviously probably have these items already, so that's not really too big of an issue, but it is easily gambleable, and the forum guide will showcase how to gamble. Now, for all the other gear, it's just mainly just capping resistances, getting as much movement speed as possible, and getting a good sword. Everything else is handled by your skill tree. This is not an arena farmer. This is not good in arena. I would heavily suggest when you're leveling this build, just level it up to wave 80. Pop out for your golden arena key, and then continue on until you're up to monolith level, and then just run monoliths for the entire time. The performance of this build is absolutely amazing. I'm running monoliths in under a minute, mostly on average, depending on what kind of modifiers. There are certain modifiers you can't run, specifically critical strike, avoidance, and dodge. I would heavily suggest dodging those, but other than that, you can pretty much do every other mod, including slow and chill, since you have so much movement speed, about 150% how much I have, but you can go even crazier than that if you want to. But at 150% movement speed, if you lose 36% movement speed from slow, it's not really too much of an issue for you, especially since you'll be shifting around. So slow is actually something you can deal with very easily. For Monolith, it's very, like I said, very strong, very fast, under a minute clears. It's very smooth. You're killing things as you're going to the end of the Monolith to kill the boss or open the chest or whatever. Then you can move on to the chest, open it, and then continue on. Very brain dead playstyle, but sometimes some people would like to enjoy that, so that's why I wanted to make this kind of build. Now, yes, you could be using Synchronized Strike to increase single target, but I think that interaction with Shadow Cascade is probably going to get nerfed at some point. So I wanted to make something that was a lot more future-proof, as I wanted this to be a lot more future-proof down the line. If there are other nerfs to Shadow Cascade, specifically the attack speed to more damage nodes, I'm going to assume that's where the bigger nerfs are going to come in, and the mana gain nodes as well, obviously, but we're not utilizing the mana gain nodes. Our build's actually pretty mana neutral. We have no issues with mana, so that's another plus of the build. But pretty much, I'm making this very nerf proof. The only thing they could do is maybe nerf Smoke Weaver, the cooldown, but like this build isn't like doing any crazy arena waves, so it probably will not get touched. And if it is touched, I will probably update the forum guide to reflect that and showcase how we can get around that. Now, with that being said, all right, here we are in game here. This is Turbo Dancer, as it is turbo because of all the movement speed we get. We have cap dodge. We're not using armor at all because in the monolith we don't care. We're not capping poison because we don't really care about poison. We have 72% resting movement speed, which is kind of okay, but obviously with shift cascade here, we are moving at 150% movement speed, very smooth. And then for our skills as well, the more important nodes is definitely going to be lasting presence, as it creates a shadow after shifting, as you can tell there. And of course the shadow is immediately consumed by Cascade to create a shadow cascade thanks to dancing shadows. And of course, like I said, another important node is momentum here. It gives us the 50% increased movement speed buff since our shift is a 2-second cooldown thanks to our smoke weaver here, our smoke weaver and our umbral visage with the cooldown recovery speed. That's very important as well. I would heavily suggest getting into that as well. Other nodes that are important is the parting gift, acid flask on departure chance, as it gives us the haste on use of the acid flask. So we have haste as well constantly, giving us even more movement speed, allowing us to speed through the monoliths very quickly. And of course, for our smoke bomb, the way we have it set up is mainly the most important thing about smoke bomb is umbral assault, as it creates shadows when it's alive, so that when I do shift cascade, they will cascade everywhere, allowing me to increase my AoE and single target. So this is pretty much our shoe-in for synchronized strike. And of course we have shadow cascade here. Shadow cascade, the more important nodes here is this node, leverage momentum, that gives us 1% more damage per increased movement speed we have. Eventually we'll have a lot more attack speed than what we have right now. Obviously right now kind of shoehorned with bad gear. Obviously you want the shadow on kill chance. That's very strong for us, as it allows shadow cascade to create more shadows, which can be used by our shift to proc even more shadows, pretty much creating a cascade through the packs. Very strong node. Some basic strike chance obviously, and pretty much the rest of the tree is up to you. And of course, acid flask, the only thing that's important is elixir speed. Everything else is either useless or not good enough to talk about. Then of course, decoy here, we have your basic decoy setup, just critical strike multiplier per dodge chance, dodge rating, duration, additional charge, mana efficiency, frailty. Doesn't really matter what you do with your decoy. Decoy is pretty much just strong on its own. Doesn't matter how you set it up. And that's pretty much it for the skills. Our gearing, idols, we want physical pen while wielding a dagger. Since we have no physical pen anywhere else, this is very strong. This is like an 18% more damage bonus since we are full fizz with the tree. Of course, we have these nodes as well. These nodes, I believe, are best in slot for later on. Increased damage per active shadow with shadow cascade, and of course increased damage with attacks used by shadows. So the one that's always behind us will be doing more damage, so that, you know, obviously we're pretty much one-shotting things. And of course, when we set up the smoke cloud, we also do a lot more damage when we need to against single target. This is pretty much all of our single target and 2 idols. Other things, we need cooldown recovery speed on the helmet. You want T5 cooldown recovery speed. You want cooldown recovery speed maxed on Smoke Weaver. I got a really good Smoke Weaver. And of course, other than that, there's nothing else that matters except for the tree rings, as it gives us a large amount of our movement speed, as very strong. And since we're running monoliths and we don't really care about survivability as much, we do not need more gear, obviously, for arena, right? Since this is not an arena build. Then for passives, the more important passives here are just agility, so that we get increased damage per movement speed. You want as much attack speed as possible to gain the more damage from the shadow cascade as well, because we're not really actually benefiting from attack speed. Other than that, other important nodes here are specifically Veil of Night for 50% more damage with shadow cascade. We obviously want the increased damage and the increased attack speed, which is even more damage for Shadow Cascade. Weapons of choice, this is what the build is built around, since we're utilizing a sword and a smoke weaver. Dagger, we are getting 150% increased critical strike multiplier, 5% 5 nodes into all in, so that we can get 75% 10% more critical strike multiplier, and of course an extra shadow, increased shadow damage. All of our single target is coming from the shadow interactions from our idols and from our smoke bomb. This is pretty much all of our single target here. This is how we nuke monolith bosses in the later stages when they're a little bit tankier. All of our single target and one little button. Very neat, right? And that's pretty much it for gearing and passives and all that. With that being said, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at, and bye! Don't forget to sub to the channel, comment, like if you like the channel, support. I also have a written guide down below as well in the forums as well. If you want to upvote that as well, it'd be appreciated. If you need any questions answered, most of them will probably be answered in the forum, and if not, you can always join my Discord where I can give you direct assistance. And also as well, I'm streaming pretty much almost every night now at twitch.tv/Apprentice Corner, where I stream daily, Last Epoch, a lot of Last Epoch content. With that being said, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful rest of your evening, and bye!